You can tell they're on it. They're going.
At 6:30.
Okay, next, public hearing, correspondent action item. Hold a public hearing, discuss, consider, and act to adopt ordinance 1044, approving text amendments related to sections 102-61 and 1-1 of the Unified Development Code by establishing and defining the land use as hotel and motel, by amending the land use schedule, and by establishing performance standards in a new Article X that is entitled Supplementary Land Use Regulation. Cole, how are you, bud?
Doing well, thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council. So this request is for text amendments related to the uses for hotel and motel, amending the land use schedule, as well as providing some performance standards for the uses. The purpose of the Unified Development Code is to create regulations for how the town develops its land within town limits. Some considerations. The draft text amendments amend and clarify the definitions for hotel and motel and make them synonymous. It amends the land use schedule to reflect this change, and it provides performance standards. Some highlights of these performance standards include a minimum number of rooms, which is 150. It also requires interior access. The building height is 4 stories. Amenities are required as well, such as a spa, bar, restaurant, things like that you typically see at full-service hotels. There's also a process for deviations. It would require any deviation to this ordinance, a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as approval from Town Council. And these performance standards are also consistent with what neighboring municipalities are doing as well. If approved, the text amendments would be effective today, March 24th. This is an example of a development that would not need to adhere to this ordinance as they're grandfathered in. The Marriott's been built, constructed, and permitted. So unless there is a renovation that is greater than 50% of the building footprint, then as they sit today, they're legally non-conforming. This is an example of a development that would require to adhere to the Ordinance 1044, as it's a blank, raw piece of land. So any development for a hotel on this land would require these standards to be met. In summary, the proposed text amendments respond to the increased demand for lodging, particularly along 114, while adapting to the development and growth needs, as well as expectations for the town. And the proposed amendments are consistent with the town's strategic vision. The Planning and Zoning Commission met on March 3rd, 2026, and recommended approval by a 5-0 vote. And the Department of Planning and Development recommends approval as well. Actions, options tonight, you can approve, you can motion to approve with conditions, motion to deny, or motion to table to a specific date. I'm happy to answer any questions y'all have.
I do have a question.
Any questions?
How does this impact the 2 or the 1 previously approved but not yet started building hotel and any other future? I mean, the future one's obvious, but what about the one that...
If you're referring to the future one that's planned in the Entrada development,
Yeah.
Then these standards will apply with the exception of the 150 room number.
But the Garden Inn that's going in.
The Garden Inn is permitted and under construction.
Yeah.
The idea behind the 150 as part of it as well is because the Hilton Garden Inn has 128 rooms right now, and it would make them conforming with the room numbers.
There's a carve out for the existing hotel.
Any other questions from council? Now open up a public hearing. Does anyone like to comment on ordinance 1044? I now close the public hearing. Can I get a motion to approve ordinance 1044?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Regular agenda items. J1, discuss, consider, and act to approve letter of commitment to provide temporary storm shelter accommodations for students, staff, and visitors associated with the Westlake Academy Arts and Science building expansion. This is basically just kind of directionally we're going to be compliant, right?
That's correct, sir. So this is just a letter from the board saying that, yes, we will meet our compliance needs to keep the project rolling forward.
Yeah, and I met Jason out there. I think we got a spot for it. We still have work to do. All we're looking for is approval to be compliant.
That's correct.
Any questions from council? Can I get a motion to approve a letter of commitment to provide temporary storm shelter and accommodations for students, staff, and visitors? Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Here's a fun one. J2, discuss, consider, and act regarding Resolution 26-07, approving a construction contract with Sedelco. Am I saying that right? Sedelco?
Yes, sir.
For the WA Arts and Sciences Building Project at an amount not to exceed $6.7 million. Jason.
Yes, it actually occurred to us yesterday that some of you may not have seen some of these images, so I thought I would share them real quickly. I know it's running late.
No, that's okay. These are important.
So we did go out with BRW's drawings. We did go out for a 100% package for sealed proposals, and we received 5 back that were really all pretty good. We opened them, and we selected Sedelco through that process. But before we get to that, here's a couple of images that came from BRW just this last week that I thought were pretty excellent. This is the new building, a rendering of the south facade. That's currently the grass field that sits there now. You can actually see kind of the very far left there, the existing arts and science building. So obviously it matches the existing architecture quite nicely. The grayed out portion of this is the existing arts and science building. It's kind of cropped here in this image, but that's our new facility there on the right. Some images of the
8,000 square feet, give or take?
8,000 square feet,
Yep.
correct. Really exceptional interior. So I have to give props to BRW here. They did a great job of matching architecture and really elevating. You'll notice the corridor is really more of an open space, big sliding doors, a lot of space, especially this is a maker space and a biology lab, things where people want to pull out, do artwork out in the hallways. So this is really nice. I believe this is the maker space looking north to the, I think that's the PIP or PYP1 building back there in the existing retaining walls. This is the art room looking back.
These are new. These are different.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah, these are
I'll
nice.
send to
They really are
Mr.
nice.
Jimenez.
It's hard to tell here, but even those big clear story windows, so the beams go across, but that roof is actually higher. So it's going to be a big, nice open space. So for your approval, with the attachment is the A101 agreement between owner and contractor. Also in the attachment is 201, which is just standard conditions, kind of a boilerplate document. I have gone over these with a fine-tooth comb. We've gone back and forth with Sedelco. Very few comments were even needed to be made. Then the town attorney has looked these over, and everybody was in agreement. So I don't know what else is important. Dates, contingencies, I believe everything is buttoned up.
I got to tell you, one, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your help. I've never been through the Sealed Bid Academy Awards event that you open up and you go through them. Diana, thank you. It was really interesting. It was also interesting, the array of bids in there, right? But you have experience with this company.
Yes, Sedelco themselves has many decades of building schools, small, large, ground-up additions, renovations. I personally have built 3 schools with them and an addition, and there's nothing to say but good. Our architect really likes working with them.
And BRW's work with them.
And to me, that goes a long way.
Yeah.
Their pricing was excellent. Their alternates were excellent. So they really won fair and square on this one. Any other questions or comments?
Questions?
This fits within the CIP as we have it now, right?
It's within our budget.
Yes, sir, it is within the budget.
Can I get a motion to approve Resolution 26-07?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Dr. Ritchie.
Exciting.
Thank you, board.
It's a huge deal.
Thank you,
Got
Mr.
my shovel
Oliver.
in the car. We're going to break ground.
Jason has been all in to
Yeah,
make sure
Jason,
that
thank you.
we met deadlines. Thank you for that.
Agenda item J3, discuss, consider, and act to adopt fire department compensation step plan designed to position Westlake firefighters' salaries targeting the 80th percentile. This is what we talked about earlier. Any other questions? Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Wade, take your seat.
Say something real
Yes,
fast?
sir, you can.
I'd like to say thank you.
You got the sale.
Stop, don't oversell.
This is a monumental decision for our department. I would really want to express that to you, say thank you very much. I'd also like to say thank you to Wade, Sandy, Marina, that works in HR. Truly a big decision for us, so thank you.
Look, Todd said it really well. We probably don't thank you guys enough, and our police and our fire and what you do for our community. By God, I'm going to get y'all a lifetime membership before I go, but baby steps.
I appreciate it.
Todd's worse than I am.
Thank you all.
Big deal.
Appreciate you.
You bet, Chief. Thank you for all you do. Okay, it's 6:40. Let's get into Westlake Academy. It is 6. Man, that'd be a riot. It is 6:40. Westlake Academy. We have a quorum. There's no public comments. Anybody for public comments? Consent agenda. Anybody have anything on the consent agenda? Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, agenda item M, regular agenda items. This was tabled 217-2026. Discuss, consider, and act regarding WA Resolution 26-03 to approve contract with Technology Lab to provide information technology services to Westlake Academy and authorizing our head of school to execute the agreement for same. Dr. Ritchie.
All right. Thank y'all so much. Moving. Dustin, should this be? No worries. It's okay. No worries. All right. So while Dustin gets that pulled up, we're here tonight to revisit the negotiation of the contract with Technology Lab. As you guys know, this is a process that started back in October and has gone through many iterations, lots of discussions about where the academy is with regard to our technology needs and the expenses associated with technology. It's important to point out, and when we get these slides going, you'll see this, but we had 35 different provisions that were accepted by Technology Lab to make this contract much more academy friendly. As you know, this is a company that is based out of Nashville, and so some of the issues were just Texas law related, and so Janet did a good job of really screening those. Mr. Dwayne reviewed what was the kind of the final draft of the contract and found about 4 or 5 additional items that were corrected as of today. So even the one that you're sitting with right now will have just a few additional tweaks to it. 10 of those areas that were negotiated had meaningful concessions from Technology Lab, including they went from a 5-year to a 3-year agreement with 12-year auto renewals and ultimately a 30-day opt-out notice. Meaningful liability protections, Texas, again, meeting the Texas statutes around those things, around the legal issues. New non-appropriation clause and termination without cause for Westlake Academy, and then the new insurance assurances. You'll see those here. So that's kind of a high-level look at what has been going on over the last 6 weeks with regard to these negotiations. Guys, are y'all on? James and they just joined? Okay. All right, James and Connor, welcome. We are going over just the high-level concessions that were made by Technology Lab, and then I'm going to hit some of the highlights on the different slides. Can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am. How are you?
Perfect. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
All right. Dustin, do you have to move us forward, or should this be working? No, that's okay. Well, all right, perfect. Thank you. All right, so we're going to hit just a highlight of these because there are 9 slides of different concessions that were made. As I pointed out, we went from 60 months to 36 months. Termination for cause with, I believe this ended up being a 30-day notice. Termination without cause, this also went down from 60 days. Again, there were some final negotiations today that occurred, so these slides were from Friday, I think. So there's a couple of things that are even better than what are on the slides right now.
Excellent.
Yes, which is great. Fees and terms, So non-recurring invoices due within 30 days of receipt instead of on receipt, which gives us just a little bit of leeway to make sure that those occur as we would expect. 6% late interest instead of approximately 18%. There were a lot of, again, very academy forward concessions that were made, and really we can talk about what all was done, but the attitude and the behavior and the concessions that were made and the spirit in which they were made underscore how much Technology Lab really wants to, sorry guys, I know.
Wow, that's hard.
I know, I'm sorry. We have been in so many hours of conversation with both of these people, and they're all great. They should work together and make,
Contract brain. Contract brain.
y'all should join, you should like make a super group so that people can do this once instead of twice. Keep getting stuck, Dustin. I'm so sorry. All right, liability and indemnification. They have included their insurance agreement and, again, raised caps and exceptions on all of the different things that might happen that we never expect to happen, don't want to happen, but there's protections there. And then there was an issue with password release, so it kind of read that they might hold our passwords hostage if we didn't pay. They're not going to do that, so that's good news. I don't think they ever intended to do that, but there were, when people don't pay, it becomes a problem for everyone. So we certainly don't intend not to do that, and they don't intend to hold our data from us. So that was kind of mutually agreed upon. Governance, just again, they're going to adhere to Texas expectations, Tarrant County expectations, 3 days delivery notice for first class. I mean, it's just, there was a lot that went into really reworking the terms of this contract. New provisions, felony criminal convictions, equal treatment, non-DEI. These are, again, part of Texas statutory requirements. The Israel Energy Company boycott assurance, Iran, Sudan, and foreign terrorist organizations prohibition. Texas has some, they have some things that we have to acknowledge and adhere to. So highlight, again, 3 years instead of 5, which really protects the academy from engaging in a very lengthy term of agreement that, without an ability to test out how all of that works. Cost controls, no increases for the first 2 years, and then 30-day invoice window payment, 6% annual late fee instead of 18%. The exit flexibility with termination without cause. Plus non-appropriation clause tied to Texas legislative funding or board, deciding that they don't want to continue to fund. Liability balance, so both the mutual indemnification, the $250,000 insurance limit cap, professional service standard replaces as is. Data and insurance, Technology Lab is required to carry cyber liability and E&O insurance. Westlake Academy is named as additional insured, data sharing agreement added, and then all of the Texas compliance that we've already talked about. So this is an overview of the negotiations and how the contract has turned out. What it doesn't do is, again, reinforce exactly where we are with this need, which is how we started. The contract is important, but the day-to-day service is really what we're talking about. I had conversations with several of you that we have acknowledged, both, I think, publicly as well as with the board, that this is a culture shift. It's a culture shift when you move from one standard of practice to another. I don't believe we're going to see any response lapse. And I will say this on the record, I love Ray Workman. He's phenomenal. He's been everything to everyone that he could possibly be. He also can't be the entire technology department, and we just can't afford the system that we're in now. We are paying about $230,000 more per year than what this particular service will cost. And it is important for the Academy's bottom line that we're able to do the hard things that we have to do.
Kelly, can I make one comment?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So two key things that you left out of your update that's relevant for the council to know, or the school board to know. One is that one of the big things that was missing from that first draft of the contract, and it may have been an oversight, but has now been added, is the summer services.
I'm sorry?
Summer services.
Summer services, yes, thank you.
Want to speak to that very quickly?
Yes, you want me to? Yes. So I think there was a typo. Connor or James, y'all can speak to this. In the first draft of what we got, the summer services, it looked like those were not included, but that was, as soon as we caught that, that was very quickly addressed. And I know that we had talked about summer services being essential, obviously, to getting set up for the school year. So can you guys address whether that was an oversight or whether that was something that there was some confusion around?
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason that it normally in our normal standard agreement shows as if applicable is because not all our schools need or want summer services included all the time. Like they don't need all the same things. A lot of schools are different than others. But yeah, I mean, as far as summer services, we do that all the time for a ton of our school clients. So now they're included in your agreement. And so, as far as everything from, collecting devices from a student standpoint to, if we have to wipe anything and then re-image anything, going through, doing a full checklist, with on-site technicians going through the building prior to professional development and all the faculty coming back to campus in, middle of July. Doing all that, doing kind of testing around the network. Sometimes, like if teachers take laptops, away for the summer, because some need to, because maybe they're doing some planning for the new school year, or they're, some of them may be doing some summer school type things. In some cases, if a device is gone from the network for too long, a lot of times it's called like a token. It can't. It gets basically they get disconnected from the network, and so just making sure that all those devices are continuing to be network joined and things of that nature. Those are all things that are included.
And then the second thing, which is probably even more important because it was one of the concerns raised in our very first conversation, is that in the new version of the contract, we're not obligated to use their hardware and license their hardware, which allows us to continue to use the existing hardware, which is under lease, the existing access points and routers, et cetera, which reduces the cost of this contract because we're still obligated to use that under other contracts.
Right. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Mr. Dwayne, and I can't believe I forgot to bring that up. That was one of the major points I know of concern. We don't know exactly how those contracts were written. I think all of our hopes after sitting through all of these discussions is that they have the same kind of termination of convenience. That'll give us time to look into those to see if all of those were designed in that manner with the same kind of care that's gone into this. So the reality is I don't have those in hand. The technology lab guys don't have the full documents around that, so we've not been able to dig in to see exactly how we can exit those, so this will buy us some time to do that. The firewall lease we are in that until December 2026. At that time, we would engage in a different process around firewalls, and then the access points, the switches, those are not up until the 29-30 school year, so that's a long time. So we're gonna again get our hands on those full contracts and see exactly what we've been obligated to and what might be able to be done. But the great news is that in the short term, we're not going to have duplicate payments going on because they're going to make the concessions to use the current equipment that we have and maintain those while we're using those.
So do we know if we're able to get out of those contracts early?
We don't know yet because...
No,
I'm sorry.
I didn't finish the question.
I'm sorry.
If we were able to get
yes.
out, what is the effect on this contract with...
Well, we have to have those materials, but ideally they would be materials that had been selected and placed by Technology Lab so that, the continuity of the equipment that they use is consistent across campuses. They're just choosing to go ahead and use what we have right now so that we don't have to incur those duplicate expenses.
And that wouldn't affect the monthly cost. That would affect a one-time cost for hardware.
I'm going to let Connor and James speak to that just to ensure I don't say anything.
Yeah, that's correct. And on top of that, we would help guide the academy through the E-rate process, right? Because E-rate is a program that they could utilize to offset cost of equipment when it's time to refresh. Quite frankly, we have other schools that use Ubiquity. The main reason that we conceded on that is we just understand that there's, there's a lease in place that just makes it financially detrimental, really, to both the academy and the town to move. So ultimately, knowing that, we just decided, hey, talking to our network operations center team, hey, we're going to manage as is. We're actually implementing a cloud license so that it's more easily manageable, even remotely. So, but yeah, that was kind of our decision around that.
Excellent.
And then as we do this arts and science expansion, we're obviously going to have new spaces that are going to need new equipment. So at that point, we would just work with you guys to integrate new equipment. I mean, will you be able to match what we have or put new, suggest new equipment that will, I'm sure you can, but I mean, is that going to be something that will cause an issue in terms of integrating that with the existing system?
No, it won't. And we'll, part of our services that are included are strategic services, kind of virtual CIO services. So you're going to see a lot of strategy around that, around, ways that can be paid for, thinking through kind of long-term strategy around when that network's going to get refreshed. Will it play nice with, the more near-term needs that may happen for a building like you're talking about. So no, we deal with that all the time.
What other questions?
I had a couple. There was a difference in the original proposal, the savings from E-rate versus the second proposal. Why did that change?
I think that we talked about that earlier on the call. James, did you hear that question? I know you addressed that with me earlier. I think it was just potentially a misunderstanding of the way that it was reading on the paper. The reduction.
And Connor, I think you know the answer to this best, so you can chime in.
Yeah, guys, basically the total reimbursement from E-rate went down because on the original proposal that finance network, that new network was included. So basically the amount that we were submitting to E-rate on the original proposal was higher. It was like $8,300. And then we, took out the need for the new finance network. So now it's only $3,300. So based on the reimbursement from E-rate, the actual reimbursement went down, but your total out-of-pocket cost also went down because there's no need for that finance network anymore.
Thank you.
And the board should know we are in the final stages of the E-rate process. We don't do that through Technology Lab. That's done through a private consultant. And we're just almost at the very end of that process.
That's a big deal.
It's a very big deal. It's
well done.
great.
There's
great
one
benefit.
more question.
Yeah, you're
it's
great.
It's a budget question.
Yes.
The way I read this, first payment, monthly payment, is made 30 days after signing.
Yes, we clarified that on the phone today. There was a typo, I think, that made it sound like it was supposed to start 30 days after signing. I think the assumption was the signing might occur a little bit later, but it will start with the July 1st fiscal year. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, we actually updated. So the newest version of the agreement actually has the date of July 1st in it.
Yes, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
Yes, I do. So I've fielded a few calls from parents and concerned citizens about how this transition will go.
Yes.
And so there's just a couple things I wanted to clarify so that it's on the record.
Okay.
So in terms of our students and their needs, we're not going to have somebody on site. We're going to be working on like a ticket system, right? So can you just kind of explain how that process works for parent? Like, for instance, I mean, obviously for a high school student, they could most likely be able to do that, submit the ticket on their own. What about for the younger students?
So that's a great question. And for the younger students, again, this will be a cultural shift. But for the younger students, we certainly wouldn't want them entering their own ticket because sometimes it's just a matter of turning something off and on, which is always my go-to with my level. see if it works when you turn it back on. But We will have all staff members will be trained. That's part of the onboarding process with Technology Lab, so everybody will know exactly what steps to take. There is a level of triage around how responses are done. So understanding, is this an emergency situation? Is this just an inconvenient situation? And so the processes around those look very different depending on what the situation is. For something like an iPad that won't come on, I mean, we do have additional iPads, so if it's switching one out in the moment while we work on one, we're able to do that. We also we're very fortunate with the younger grades. We have paraprofessionals who are extra sets of hands, especially at the K through 3 level. So by 4th and 5th grade, we would expect to be able to kind of help students understand how to do a tech ticket if they needed to. But we're very fortunate, particularly at the PYP level, to have the student to adult ratio that we have. So I don't anticipate that this will be as scary as it might seem at first. Part of it is just learning the protocols. James and Connor, is that a good way to describe that?
Good question.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, there is going to be a shift, but with 300 campuses that we support across the country, this isn't abnormal, right? I mean, I would say more than 50% of the schools that we've onboarded that are our clients come from an environment just like Westlake, right? Where they're used to having that one person on site all the time. And honestly, it ends up being a hindrance in the grand scheme of things. It feels better, right? Because you have that, you know that there's somebody there on campus. But what tends to happen all the time, and where the value really lies, is you have a team of one that is trying to get to all the fires and people stand in line, or they hoard all their tickets and all their problems for a week or 2 weeks until that person happens to walk by the class or walk in that building or whatever the case may be. And once an end user ends up opening 1 or 2 tickets with us, they really do start to realize, hey, oh my gosh, like, what have I been missing, right? Because now you have a 40-person team supporting them, right, on a day-to-day basis. And they have a wide variety of ways they can open tickets as well. So, they can open a ticket via email. We have a really slick portal that makes it super easy, like kind of word wizard-ish, if you remember that back in the day. But then at the same time, we train the staff, if it's an emergency, what we consider an emergency for an end user is, hey, I'm dead in the water, right? I'm about to go into a class and I can't get to my lesson plan, or I can't, do something very, very specific to what I'm about to go do. We always train them to call our help desk directly in those situations so that they can directly get passed off to a technician to fix their problem right there in the moment. So we train them on all those things, and you're going to have some laggards, right? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I mean, you're gonna have people, a small group of people that, just in general don't like change. We've retrained those groups of people, 2 months after the original onboarding. But that's not abnormal. I mean, that's something that, once they actually open a ticket or two, they realize, holy cow, that was super fast. And actually that was easier for me because I didn't have to track somebody down. So, and don't forget, I mean, we have technicians in the market too. So, if it does require on-site or something like that, we're deploying that person, or people in that moment. So, I think that is a valid question, but something that we obviously encounter over and over.
That brings me to my next question: is an emergency situation. Like, we have had instances where the school has no internet, or the internet runs our lock systems, our cameras at our school, our HVACs tied into that. When we have a catastrophic thing like that, I think it'd be good to assure people that you do have somebody in the area that will be able to address that. Because I think that's another concern that, parents have, is like, where are we going to be dead in the water with no way to?
Oh no, not at all. I mean that is a 911 hair on fire ticket. I mean that's the prior. So we prioritize tickets from priority 1 to priority 4. So I mean that is a priority 1 ticket. We will probably know before you know because we're proactively monitoring your network, right? So if we see a blip on the radar, we see obviously an entire network go down. That's red alert in our NOC team, and we're probably reaching out to you before you can even get to us. So I don't think that at all should be a concern.
And Kelly, I mean, these are great questions.
No,
I've
they're
heard some
great
of the same,
questions.
but I hope we're going to put together like a FAQs and kind of stuff like this.
Yeah.
It is a cultural shift. It is change. More than a handful don't like change, I think, but we'll get through it. But I think the communication protocols on this will be very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is one of the reasons we chose Technology Lab is because of their onboarding, their communication, the communication that we'll do as admin to help everybody through that transition is going to be critical for sure.
Yeah, Kim, I mean, we're going to handhold these folks through the process.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just,
and we have to do that every time, right? It's not even just you guys. I mean, we have to do that with really every single school that we onboard. I mean, they really need to feel fully, understand fully how they get support, and then once they get the support 1 time, 2 times, they're like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, listen, in my corporate career, we insourced, outsourced, between technology, HR, and everything else. We did all this stuff, and it is just getting used to it. If you got the right people in, the model works fine. So, and I think we certainly have that.
Well, thank you for those responses, because I think that just having that in a public session where, the community can hear that, because I know that there are a lot of people that are concerned, and I agree with you that it's just going to be a culture shift, and hopefully we can work through it wonderfully.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for those questions for sure.
What other questions? Okay. Moment of truth. Can I get a motion to approve Westlake WA Resolution 26-03?
So moved.
There needs to be just a question here. The submission that we have showed the old monthly.
Yes, so there's a corrected version of that. We won't be signing the one
that Kelly
you have.
will execute.
Yes, it'll have that. Thank you for that, Mr. Ukir.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve WA Resolution 26-03?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Ritchie, you're having a good night.
Thank you so much. Appreciate y'all.
Okay, M2, discuss, review, and acknowledge receipt of intruder audit, detection audit report submitted by the Texas School Safety Center, approve related corrective actions, security measures at Westlake Academy as needed. That will be deferred into after executive session. We're now going to go into executive session. The time is 7:08. Sorry, we're here so long. 7:08 p.m. pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, and the Town Council and the Board of Trustees will now adjourn into the executive session in accordance with the authority contained in N-1, Section 551-071, consultation with legal advice from the town attorney regarding pending litigation, Vertical Bridge versus Town of Westlake.